with Bridget for the 8th of June, the 3rd of August, as well as the 12th of October. So today our first speaker is going to be Sonto Pooe, where she is the founder and brand owner of Native Child, which is a hair care and body care, skincare products, natural, plant-based, and locally manufactured. So with no further ado, Sonto, the floor is yours. Please tell us about your journey into this industry.
Sonto, sorry, just before we hand over to Sonto, just be aware, sorry guys, we will be recording the presentation. And Pooe, sorry, your screen is still sharing. So I don't know why that is. If you could take that off, I'd be very grateful. You would normally just go to the share tray and say stop sharing, or maybe if you want to leave the meeting and re-enter it, that would be great. And then Sonto, you're on mute, but I think you're actually frozen. So I hope you can hear us. Sonto? Oh, technology, guys, I'm so sorry. Sonto? Oh, definitely frozen with this technology. All right, well, maybe
you see those slides in the interim.
Yes, I think, Aisha, if you don't mind. Sorry, guys, we're just improvising here.
Hi, it's Pooe. Is my screen still sharing?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Maybe if you would like to leave the meeting and re-enter it out, because at the moment all it's showing is just like a grey screen on your screen. It's weird. I don't know. While we're waiting for Sonto as well to come back. Sorry. Are you winning there, Aisha, as well with your share screen?
No.
Okay, let me leave the message. I'll come back.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you want to share the ones that I've only done the one? Do you want to do?
Yeah, let me share. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, sorry, we just, as I said, we'll share some information on COSCHEM. I'm not certain how many people are aware of what we're involved with. Let me just quickly have a look there. Okay, is my screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay, and then I think for anybody, I mean, I know a lot of you guys are students, but just bearing in mind, obviously, you know, our whole sector really starts from your formulation right down to finished product, which obviously a large portion of that, once you've got your formulation, would include your raw materials. So next week, the 11th of May, if anybody would like to join us and they haven't received the invite, you're more than welcome to come through on the 11th of May here at the COSCHEM office. And just contact me on an email and we can share information with you relating to the mini expo. Right, Aisha, I don't know if you want to run through obviously the different aspects of the industry.
Sonto's back, so let's
grab
this opportunity before we have more technical issues.
Yes. Okay, Sonto, let's go.
I'm sorry, guys, it's not me. It's load shedding.
No, I said, don't you want to come sit with me at the COSCHEM office? Because I know I have no load shedding here. But anyway, we'll get there. So thank you, Sonto.
Yeah, if it continues, I'll just take a drive to you.
Oh, goodness. Shame, by that stage it'll be terrible. But I think, as we say, let's get rock and rolling. I don't know if you'd like to obviously introduce yourself. Sonto is from Native Child. And then, Pooe, your screen is not sharing, so it looks like we're on the home front here. Yay. So I'm going to now pass over to Sonto. Thank you for taking time to share your adventure with us, Sonto.
Okay, no problem. Let me share my screen. Oh.
Yeah, it is sharing.
Am I sharing?
Yes, you are sharing. So if you just minimize that or just click on your Yeah, and then just from the beginning, and then
Okay.
it should just show up there. Slideshow.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you. As I say, you know, it's not in this day and age, it's not like you just are presenting at a meeting. You've got to be your own IT person, your own electrician. It's like multitasking of note. Thank you, everybody, for your patience in this regard. Okay, Sonto.
Okay. Thank you, Bridget, for extending the invitation. I'm honored that you even want to hear my story. And thank you to everyone who's joining in. So as it's been already mentioned, my name is Sonto Pooe. I am the founder of a brand called Native Child. We've been around now since 2015. And okay, let me hold on. There. So just a little bit of background of who Native Child is. I don't expect everybody to know who we are. Native Child is a plant-based body care and hair care range. And I'm proud to say we are an award-winning brand. And I feel like we are at the forefront of change in terms of green cosmetics or conscious cosmetics. Native Child is one of the top-selling South African natural hair care brands based in SA. I mean, we are homegrown. We produce our products here. And we are currently in major retailers like Dis-Chem, Clicks, Games, Ackermans, Pick n Pay. We're also in Takealot. So our footprint in terms of distribution has grown quite a bit since we started. When we started online, but at the time, back in 2015, no one was hearing when you say, no, go buy our products online, no, I don't trust which store. So eventually we were pushed to go into major retailers, which is why we landed these big contracts with retailers. And so that's who we are as a brand in a nutshell. I'm going to keep it moving very quickly because, yeah, this ESCOM is not very predictable today. And then in terms of who I am, just my background, I'm actually an engineering graduate. I initially studied quantity surveying at the suggestion of my maths teacher. Those who've heard my story would have heard this already. It sounds repetitive to me, but I'm going to have to tell it for those who don't know the background. And obviously, and I'm also a member of the Cosmetic Society of South Africa, and it's been a while now. And I've also served as a council member for the society between 2007 and 2008. And then I've also been part of the education committee, but that's now going back. And then outside my entrepreneurial journey, I'm also a mom, I'm a wife, and yeah, and I just love, I guess, the exploring my creative side. You know, outside, you know, it helps me switch off from being this businesswoman and always, you know, thinking logically. In terms of my journey, which is, I think, why Bridget had asked me to be part of this, my love for hair began as a child. I've always been obsessed with my own hair. I remember playing with my great-grandmother's hair when she was still alive, and I was the only great-grandchild or grandchild, for that matter, that was allowed to play with her hair and do little plaits. So my love for hair goes way back. I didn't just one day wake up and decide, ooh, the cosmetic industry makes money, so I think I'm going to make money that way. So for me, it's been like a progressive journey as a child up until, you know, the brand was launched. You know, often people ask me, as an entrepreneur, did you always know you were an entrepreneur? I don't think so. I don't think I've always known that I was an entrepreneur. I mean, even though, you know, as a teenager, I was plaiting and braiding and styling people for a little bit of extra money, but I didn't see that as being entrepreneurial. I was just trying to make extra money. And when I was in matric, when everyone was selecting subjects at the beginning of the year, could have been the year before, I remember just being completely confused because when we did our psychometric tests, I was split in the middle in terms of academic as well as creative. So I really didn't know which way to go. And so, like I said, as I mentioned, when the teacher said, "Oh man, I think you do great. My son is a quantity surveyor. He makes lots of money." I was like, got you. That's exactly what I didn't even know what that was. And that's what I studied. And even though I did very well in terms of schooling and when I entered the industry, and I did well, I liked the actual job. I really didn't like the environment that I was in. I think now it's transformed quite a bit, but way back then I looked like I was 12. And I'm a female. It just, the dynamics were not working. You know, you try and assert yourself in a very male-dominated industry, and I just found myself just thinking, no, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. And that's when I decided, made the decision to change and just go back to my first love. And I remembered all the conversations I had with my friends at school, where I thought, you know, one day I would love to own a company like Dark and Lovely. But obviously, I didn't know anybody else who had done that before, so I didn't have a pattern to follow. So that's where the beginnings of it started. And now the issue is, I come from an underprivileged background. I'm not ashamed to say that. The getting through university or technicon at the time was extremely difficult in terms of finances. Now to think I'm going to drop all of that and start my entrepreneurial journey, it wasn't an easy decision. It took me a little bit of time to actually make the plunge and do that. And so I thought, let me find a place where I can study part-time and still try and gain the knowledge. Now, I know a lot of people, when they start brands, you can just pay someone to do R&D for you. You can pay someone, you know, to do the whole process, the design, all the way through to the finished product. But I really, really craved the knowledge. I wanted control and wanted the know-how. And that's how I landed up with the Cosmetic Society. I literally researched them. I didn't even know they existed. And I went through the whole diploma with them. And yeah, so that's where I gained the initial knowledge. But in terms of industry experience, I had to do my own testing at home. I didn't have industry experience. I didn't have a chemistry background. I literally went from something, you know, on the right all the way to the other side. So it wasn't easy, but because I was determined, I did make it, you know. And in terms of how I maneuvered myself through the industry itself, I feel like the cost camp gave me a foundation and some industry connections and links that then helped me to, you know, to pivot and get into the industry. Without that, I don't think it would, you know, it would have worked out as well as it did. And then it wasn't easy. Obviously, there are challenges when you start a business. Number one, you know, when you're a small person, no one sees your vision and knows what you're about. When you go and you ask them for prices, they'll give you the worst price. So that was initially kind of like my shock, where I was like, oh, this is probably never going to get off the ground. Naturally, I'm an introvert. I wouldn't say shy, but I'm an introvert. And so I had to get out of my shell and learn certain skills to be able to get the engine of the business going. And one of those skills was learning to sell. You know, I had to convince people, if you give me a better price, I can promise you a year from now, you won't regret that you gave me better prices. And then obviously over time, then finding the right type of employees. I think that is, if not the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur, is that, you know, when you're looking for people, everyone can sell you the world and the earth, but alignment is something that you can only really find when someone is inside. And so that's been one of the challenges, which, you know, over time you learn to quickly figure out, you know, the type of individuals that you want to employ. You know, I then went through a few contract manufacturers, you know, very difficult, but I'm glad that I went through the route that I did, where I wanted to be able to produce products in-house. Because when contract manufacturers disappointed us, because to them, you know, you giving them an eighth of a check of what they get from another brand. You know, I'm in there with, you know, products from Woolies and products that they're producing for, I mean, whoever, these big companies. And I'm just, you know, so obviously it's easier for them to prioritize on the big money and not so much on you as a young entrepreneur. So I had to learn to negotiate, to build relationships, and more importantly, to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, that when I am disappointed, we're still able to supply, and business continues. There was something else I wanted to mention in terms of just the difficulties. Oh, and of course, you know, when you don't have a budget for marketing, that was something that was kind of a hurdle at the beginning. But fortunately, when we came on the scene, I had recently discovered Instagram, because I hadn't been on Facebook, and I really just liked Instagram, and I thought, okay, this is how I'm going to push the business. And we grew just from Instagram, before even the paid advertising. And then over time that evolved to Instagram joining forces with Facebook. And then you could also do paid posts and paid advertising. I think as an entrepreneur, it's extremely important to be able to never see a wall in front of you. And if this door doesn't open, and knowing that another one will open, and not having a sense of feeling stuck. And I think that's what a beauty of an entrepreneur is. And constantly learning and growing. As you know, this industry, what was done and what was cool and new knowledge 5 years ago no longer applies today. The foundation is the same, but we are forever evolving. So it's critically important to continuously upskill yourself, to open yourself up in terms of what other countries are doing, in terms of innovation, to attend the courses that COSCEM puts out every month or every year. You know, I haven't done those in a while, but I used to constantly attend those. I have gotten a bit busier, and there are more people below me, so they are the ones now doing that. But I think it's critically important to constantly evolve, and to learn and to grow, because what worked then doesn't work now, which is what we are finding. You know, your traditional brands are struggling with. You know, they're calling us the newcomer. They can't believe that the newcomer is kind of growing at such a fast pace. And for me, it's being able to have your ear on the ground and predicting the future and being on it. And also listening to your customers. You know, I think social media is a great tool, not only to grow your business, but also to get feedback, because then you're able to do tweaks and changes as you go along. And then, of course, with the growth came some highlights. You know, the biggest highlights for us as a brand was, number one, getting into retail. It wasn't easy. They need you to prove yourself. Fortunately, we had some online sales that were proving that we were growing at a rate of about 30% month on month consistently for about 2 years. And that kind of made them think, okay, we can take you on. And once one took us on, the rest kind of follow suit. If you are doing well there, we definitely want you in. So that was the biggest highlight. And then the most recent one was then, of course, winning the first award that we won was the Pick and Pay Supplier of the Year award. And that was in 2020. And we had only been at Pick and Pay for 11 months. And it was during COVID. So that was, 2020 during COVID. So that was a huge highlight and a testament to what the industry is actually looking for. And if you're able to meet the customer needs, you grow very quickly. And then the following year, we also won the Clicks Supplier of the Year award as well. Again, with them, we hadn't even closed at 12 months when we won that award. So we're extremely grateful for what we've achieved in such a short space of time. And often people will ask me, okay, if I want to go the entrepreneurial route, or what would you suggest? I always say, follow your passion. Because it does get tough. The part about running or creating a brand that people don't know, they will see the awards, they maybe will see you've been featured in magazines or TV or radio, but they don't see that you maybe sleep 6 hours every day. When employees go home at 5, you're still working and you are up at 3. So that it requires you to have a certain type of thinking. And so if you're doing something that's not authentically you, I do feel like you will get tired along the way. I mean, we all get tired, but you know what I mean? You will give up. So it's always better to kind of follow your dream. Now, all of you are in the beauty industry. It's so wide and there's so many opportunities. So wherever your niche is, I feel like do that and do that really, really, really well. And you'll find fulfillment, within yourself, but also I feel like you give the world your best. Whatever I do, I always want to do my best. And if I failed, at least I failed having done my absolute best. And so whatever aspects, whether you're in raw materials, make sure that you get the very best out there and you give your customers the very best service, you will be on top of your game. Whether you are in R&D, be the best that you can be there. Whether you wanting to branch off into your own thing, whatever it is, just do your very best, and you'll never lack for anything. And for me, the brand fulfilled for me what was not currently out there. If you look at traditional brands out there, they supply obviously to the masses, but the quality of the products that's offered to the masses was not to my satisfaction. I've always been someone who will react to this and react to that, and I've got a rash from this. And so it was critically important for me to make sure that we choose the very best ingredients that we can afford and that are out there, and we're really giving people the best. So that's what that's what Native Child is all about. It's combining nature and the needs of our target market out there. And I think that's what has led to our success. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to throw those at me.
Thank you, Sonto. It's always so inspiring, I think, to hear where people have started and sort of ended up. And I remember when you did your cosmetic science course in was it 2006? It seems
Yes.
like a lifetime ago.
Yes. Yes.
And, you know, it's really fulfilling to see where people have started with a dream, a vision, and then to be a brand that, as you say, is winning all these awards. It's really so inspiring. So thank you for sharing your journey with us. So guys, you're welcome to unmute your microphone, pose a question through to Sonto. As we mentioned, obviously over the next probably 4 or 5 months, we will be following different journeys of different people that have maybe studied a BSc or also come from different backgrounds and have pursued interests within the personal care industry. So our next presenter is Charmaine. She'll be presenting in June. And Charmaine has gone the route of R&D, manufacturing, been a consultant, and really done different aspects, and is now working at AMCA. So, it's you start at one point and you end up at another. And, I think that's also the thing when you study something, it doesn't mean that that's your definitive for your whole life. Your adventure is going to take you in different directions. And, I think that the society is here really just as a networking contact point, as Sonto said, when you're a bit lost, you contact the office and we try and put people in the correct direction and we connect them with other people. Are there any questions, Frankie? I see your hand is up, but I think it was up in terms of praise. But are there any questions? Let me just check the chat box. It's very quiet out there. As I say, it's so difficult on these platforms to know, if you are inspiring, which I know you are, Sonto, but I know you feel like you're talking to your computer, but it's lovely, it's fulfilling. Guys, really, if you have a question, now is the time to ask it. Don't be embarrassed.
Hi, it's Nandi speaking.
Hi, Nandi.
Hi, yes, just a comment and a question to Sonto. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. I've used your products from way before, I think 2016 and all of that, and it's helped my hair growth. And I'm about to, next year I'm interested in enrolling in this cosmetic science course because I've also started my own hair, skin, and lip brand. And you have been one of the main people who have really inspired me to follow my dreams, as you said, with what you've done. And I'd like to find out, because you did say you are a quality surveyor, right?
Mm.
At which point did you stop your 9 to 5 to pursue your native child bride?
So
and how was the transition as well?
So for me, because I hate debt, so I kind of planned ahead and started saving. I think I saved for about 18 months to 2 years before I did the jump. So it wasn't a matter of just jumping and not really knowing what to do. I kind of had a plan. And so I had planned ahead, thinking, okay, I probably won't have income for a while. And then between that time, I ended up getting married. Then I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit. But yeah, for me, what I want to put across is I wouldn't encourage people to just jump and not having some financial backing or some plan of anything. Because you also don't want to be in hot water. So my dream took longer than someone else may have, because there were some financial some financial obligations and restrictions that kind of made it take longer, because then I had to do research on the course itself, how much it's going to take me. Can I live without a salary for about a year? If not, how much do I need to save? So I had worked in the industry for about 4 years when I decided, okay, I'm good. It's time to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nandi, for your question. You know, I think also, as I say, it's tricky because we have people that are from the universities online, and then we also have entrepreneurs. So I think the thing is, as an entrepreneur, you know, we have people from different walks of life. They have a concept, they have an idea. I mean, Sonto went the route that she wanted the knowledge for herself. But a lot of times, if you're more on the like business skill side and you are not technically minded, there is the opportunity for consultants to assist you. And a lot of the raw material suppliers will also assist you with, you know, formulation, development. So you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's exactly what Sonto was saying, is find your strength, work with that, and it all comes together. But, you know, as I say, at least we're also here to assist in that regard. I see, I was at Martha, sorry, there was a hand that popped up and it just disappeared as I looked down. And you can just unmute yourself and pose a question, if there was a question, Martha.
Yes, it's Martha. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sonto, thank you so much. Your story has resonated so strongly with my journey because I, for one, also have started my own brand and have found myself having to learn how to really just create a website for myself and all of those things that were never my strong point, and I've been learning just as the need arises within the business. But I do have to say that the times do get to a place, you do get to a place where you do feel stuck and you feel like you've hit a wall and your business stops growing, and you then have to look for other ways. But just to get to the point, one of the next ways that I was looking into is going into retail, and I'm trying to kind of understand, you know, the pros of being in retail and the cons of being in retail, because I do understand that there must be a very big layout, financial layout in having to be ready to go into retail. And is it always the best way to grow your business to a place where you can get your product in hands of people that are just not knowing you on social media?
Yeah. So I think it's a great question, by the way. I think retail, I'm sure you've heard the term retail is a monster, right? It can be tough. So what you need to do if you're going into retail is sort of properly do your due diligence and negotiate upfront, because you can find yourself, yes, you're in retail, but you're actually not making any money. Because the whole point of going into business or being an entrepreneur, yes, there's a social aspect of it, for me at least, where I genuinely want to help people. But there's also the other part where you need to make money, otherwise you're going to shut down. So I've seen brands go on and then they disappear. We never hear of them again. And because they've shut their doors. So pricing is critically important. If you price right, and you make an allowance for the retailer to also make their money, because they're not here for charity. At the end of the day, retailers want to team up with brands that will make them money. So if you think of it that way, you need to make sure that you've built yourself enough of a buffer that they can take their cuts and you still have something. So it is difficult. They can test you in a few stores, and if you're not performing, they'll either take you out or reduce. For you to be on a retailer shelf, no shelf is sitting empty. So for us to have gotten in means they had to take somebody out. And so that's the process of retail. Once the store is built and they have shelf space, all those shelves are full. For you to get in, that's why they say it's so difficult to get in. For you to get in, you have to have proven sales. So it is tough, but if you really are innovative and have come up with something that's completely new it does make sense to put it into retail because it will be in the hands of more people. But I do caution people who are just replicating what others have done, because why would anybody go for product A versus product B if they're exactly doing the same thing? So you need to just make sure that you find that niche or that differentiator to make sure that once you are in retail, that people will be buying your product. Because if you're doing what has already been done, chances of you kind of rising above that, I'm not to discourage, but chances of you kind of rising above that are going to be extremely tough. Another avenue, thanks to COVID, of selling product is online, which was my original vision anyways, was to sell online, because it means all those profits come to you. Now they are so, it's so much easier. You can boost post, you can digital actually is the future. So if there is a way of you going digital, in terms of money in your bag, you'll make more money that way than if you are in retail. The way to get into retail is great, as long as you make sure that you are making money.
I think the last part is very, it's probably exactly what I needed to hear, where one could look at the strategy of finding ways to make it work on digitally and not rushing into going into retail, because that could work in the long run. But do you find that being in retail as a brand gives you some sort of street cred, for a lack of a better word, that then people say, okay, Native Child is now at Clicks, for instance, then clearly they've been approved by, a body that we've trusted, versus, just being, because I think that's what you said in the beginning, people didn't know Native Child and they didn't really try it out, even though your brand was growing. But do you think that being in retail gives you some sort of street cred? And
Tricky question. Tricky question, because we started off online and the people knew the brand from online. We didn't have a retail footprint for 3 years. We were purely online. So maybe if you are in maybe a retailer, it does maybe give some people comfort. But one kind of I feel like they feed off of each other. I don't know how to explain it. One, without the online, we could not have grown into retail, and we would not have been known. Because remember, when I say digital is the future, you can literally advertise to someone in Durban, KwaMashu, in this very specific. Whereas in retail, if you are in a retailer and you look at brands on the shelf and you're going to buy, if you don't know the brand, you still don't know the brand. So I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If you don't know it, you still don't know it. Whether there's no street cred. So, but maybe for people who already know the brand and then see it also in retail, then that combination could convince more people. But if you don't know it, you still don't know it.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
And then I think, Sonto, obviously also, I mean, when you get to the stage of obviously distribution, I mean, prior to that, you would need to make sure that you have done all your research in terms of your legislation, your testing, your claims. And I think that's the thing you must also just be careful with before you go onto the online platforms or anywhere where there is a consumer, is just to ensure that you have done all your homework, because the Consumer Protection Act is well enforced, and you just need to have all of your ducks in a row in that regard as well.
Make sure you have insurances when things go wrong, because sometimes, not because there's anything wrong with your product, but people have allergies. And there's no way we can predict that if you use this and that it has this item, Like there are people I've discovered now that react to rosemary. I didn't know that.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I suppose anything, hey?
Yeah.
Anything can be an allergen.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness me. Thank you, Sonto. Are there any other questions? As I say, I think we could actually sit here all day because I think that's the thing. People that are aspiring entrepreneurs are really, they've got different challenges, and you know, you're starting in point A and you find all the bits and pieces along the way. So you've earned your noddy badge, hey, Sonto. Sure, it's been hard work, and I know that you've had sleepless nights as well. So it's all come together though. Be so proud of yourself and where it's come up at the end. There's a question from Pippa. If you can just unmute your microphone, Pippa.
Thank you. Hi, Sonto.
Hi.
Thank you for your inspiration. It's wonderful to see a lovely young lady blooming and going places in life, and that's fantastic. I have a quick question because I have been an entrepreneur for many years in the rag trade, and I had my own business, and I'm going into something that's passionate. It's very daunting because I have no clue what I'm doing, and I don't have the time to study like you. So I'm looking for what I would call quick fixes and some help along the way. And one of them is there is the particular items that I'm wanting to, or ingredients that I'm wanting to use. It's just not by you can get your citric acid and you can get this and that, but there are items that are just not available at every single chemistry, wholesalers.
Yes.
Is there a list of suppliers that have certain particular ingredients that others don't, or that have more on the natural side? And the other question is, sometimes when you're wanting to do R&D, you can't really afford to go and buy 25 kilos of X amount when at 117 Rand a kilo. How did you do your R&D? How did you manage to get X amount of whatever you needed in order to do your R&D without having to go and spend huge amounts?
So at the beginning, which is going back a while now, I used to buy my raw materials from Rebound. I don't know if they still exist. I haven't used them for years and years and years. Bridget can let us know.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. I actually said to Pippa yesterday, I was like, I don't actually know anybody that's doing the repacks, and I'm not sure about Rebound, but we'd need to find out.
So I don't know if because they were basically, so their prices were higher, but you didn't need to buy, big bulk. But if you're still doing R&D, raw material suppliers will give you samples for free.
Popped in the chat there. Sorry, Sonto. There is something called the Buyer's Guide. It's actually supplied by our industry magazine, the Pharmaceutical and Cosmetic Review. The link is just listed there below. And then you can search for any ingredient that you're looking for. And then, yeah, they would normally give you a sample. But I think what Pippa's saying is after she's got the sample, which you still need to buy such big quantities.
So I don't know if there's someone in the industry at the moment, because when I started, like I say, back then, there was a company called Rebound Chemicals. Yeah. They basically repackage and sold you smaller packs. But because we are beyond that stage, I haven't used them in at least 5 years. So I don't know. I wouldn't really know, but thanks, Bridget, for that. Because I think that's a great resource for them to use.
Perfect.
Thank you. I've just Googled it and I see it says here they're open now. Rebound Chemicals in Edenvale.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, super. That's wonderful for that, and I just hope that they will have all the ingredients that I'm requiring. Yeah, this would just be for the R&D stage. I would then obviously go and buy wholesale from bigger companies.
Yeah. I think the big challenge that's happening at the moment, and I mean, I was chatting to Jane online before Sonto joined us, is exactly that, is that, you might get it at one particular pricing today, but tomorrow the pricing is different. It's become quite a challenge with the dollar rand exchange.
Yes.
the port duties. It's become quite a challenge. So you will be facing those sorts of challenges at the moment, but you'll get through it. And as it really, it's an exciting adventure to be on.
Thank you. I think within that, saying that, I think just generally in life, where you always work with a 10 or 12% margin, whether, eventually you can give that back to your client in some way if you haven't actually used it, but you always put on the extra amount. And if you don't get to have to spend that money, obviously you can make your price, you can change your price eventually. But yeah, because we don't know what the rand dollar exchange will be doing. But I thank you very much, and all the very best to everybody who is going to be on their journeys and their quest for doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Sonto, I'll email you privately about this query here with Pooe. Are there any other questions? Other than that, I really do appreciate people taking time out of your busy schedules. I think, the whole thing about COSCHEM is, as you say, unless you're looking for something specific, people don't really always find the society. But we are here to sort of, guide and assist and educate, and the core focus is dissemination of scientific information. I don't know if any of the students are still online, but if you visit our website, which I did pop it up earlier, the contact details, there's also an intern platform there. So, when you also maybe looking to have an internship, contact the office. A lot of the bigger companies and multinationals and the manufacturers do contact us when they have vacancies for interns. And so we can try and assist in that regard as well. But I mean, obviously, that's not our main function is finding work placement, but we also do obviously also advertise vacancies within the industry. All right, guys. Aisha, I don't know if there was anything else from your side.
No,
Aisha?
nothing. I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, sorry, you ran a bit over. Sorry.
No, it's good.
All right.
All right.
And then a very, very big thank you, Sonto. It's been a lovely morning, very inspiring. It's nice to start the day like that with an inspirational story. So I'm very grateful for you taking the time to share with us.
Only a pleasure.
Perfect. And to all the new people that are online, because I know there's a lot of new names I don't recognize, and students and entrepreneurs, yeah, please just stay in contact with us. We are around. The next talk is in June. So hopefully you can join us there as well. All righty ho. Take care. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.